There's a debate in the party,
Yep.
happens all the time. Did they not go to the center enough? Okay. There are people on the left who say, no, that's not it. There are lots of people, a lot of donors, lots of members of Congress, lots of strategists who say, of course. One of the laughable things in the Politico story is it says, well, she proved she could run as a centrist. She nimbly moved to the center. No, she did not. She gratuitously, whatever the right word is, she abandoned some positions, normally through the mouths of anonymous spokespeople saying she no longer believes left-wing things. She didn't stake out any centrist view. She said she owned a gun. Except for that, she staked out no centrist view in a principled, articulate, Clinton-esque, Obama-esque way of saying. Even Hillary Clinton did this. Here's where I'm putting my flag down. And I've said this before. A candidate who runs for president who never says, "Here's where my party gets it wrong," is going to have a hard time winning a general election. So the notion that she ran as a more of a centrist and therefore she can be the leader of the party's efforts to define itself in a more centrist way, I think is just flat out false. And it's part of why that story seemed off key to me, Sean.
I was going to say, I mean, look, at the end of the day, we talked about this countless times. She comes across inauthentic. The gun comment was, I own a Glock. Like, I was about to say which way, I joked with someone at one point. I wanted to say, do you have the safety on or off? Just a trick question for Glock owners. But the idea was that it didn't come across as real. When people attacked her and her mannerisms, it was, well, it's racist and gender. You're attacking her gender. And it's like, no, she's a bad candidate. I always thought the best example of this, Dan kind of raised Trump a little. In 2012, when Romney was running, he was sort of embarrassed of his wealth. He'd be like, well, I made this money, but I really didn't want it. Trump kind of wanted to go, I love having this much money. I'm rich as hell, and I want you to be rich. He embraced it. And it was kind of refreshing to hear somebody speak with, in that when he got asked about lobbying. Of course I did. I bought everybody. That's how I work. I mean, it was so real. And I think that anytime that if you want to just chalk it up to attacks on her gender and race, then you're missing the broader point. She's a bad candidate. She's inauthentic. And I think the longer that people have their head on the sand of that, the longer that they'll continue to nominate her and push her when there's probably better people. I mean, the example I give, look at Wes Moore. When that guy comes out, he's the real deal. I mean, I think as a Republican, I look at Wes Moore as somebody that I think, I'd have a hard time. I think we'd have a harder time messaging against a guy like him, but he comes across very authentic. He's got a great story and very relatable.